So if you were going to recommend to other HR professionals to arm them to go to their leadership to say, this is why company culture is so important and we have to be proactive. And only resilient with that proactive piece that you talked about earlier, what would you recommend to them?
I would recommend that they need to push for a clear, crisp vision and a very compelling business case of why. I think it is easier to show the areas of the business that are underperforming or are even toxic in terms of missed opportunities and then turn it around and say, here are the things that we can do to improve that company culture and what all the things that we have to gain by taking down that path. Change is hard. I mean, you and I had an extensive conversation about fatigue. It's not just the employees, CHROs, middle management. The level of burnout, it's super high. I don't want to say historical because I'm not a statistician, but it is everywhere. And I think this is why we're having these conversations about anxiety, well being, mental health. And the younger generations are really pushing that holistic approach to organizations and what their employee experience is. More and more, they want to work for organizations that their mission, their values align. They don't want to just write a check for philanthropy. They want to be involved. They're very wary of performative diversity tasks or actions. They really want systemic change, whether it's an employee investments, representation, compliance, sustainability. And at the end of the day, to answer your question, when you have employees that are thriving, this is where innovation comes into place. There's so many numbers out there when you have innovative, creative, diverse, inclusive work cultures and how that impacts the bottom line, the revenues, and the creativity and innovation within the organization. So that is the summary of the business case, really. But obviously, as we say, it manifests in different ways depending on your organization and the industry you're in.
It's good to be proud of being HR. I love it.
I am very proud to be in HR. That's one of the things that I always fought when I've got into organizations. And I have to say that either the function that was in, it was not perceived positively. And I do take it as a personal challenge to overcome that. For me, for my peers, I was trying to find it and I couldn't. There was someone in LinkedIn the other day, and I wanted to give this individual credit that talked about all the negative perceptions about HR. And then he proceeded to list all the things that actually HR does for employees. And I can speak for me. I'm sure, Steve, probably you and I have a lot in common. But at the end of the day, we like to help people. We like to open up opportunities for individuals. And I think this is why I actually switched from change management consulting to a career in HR, because to me, that is really, I'm passionate about that. And I find that most rewarding when you took actions within your tools and programs and initiatives and the resulting case. And I think one of the questions you asked me is, what am I the most proud about? I think in my HR career, and I took some time to think about it, and I have to go back. In every place where I've done this is important, but I think because of the scale, I will have to say it at Accenture. I started owning campus programs and then I started focusing on diversity initiatives. And that process of opening up so many doors from an entry level, then it transformed to conferences to then experience. And looking at that, I think this is why I'm so passionate about the employee experience, because we did said you do the pre-work, like what's not working, why are people leaving? You do that analysis, you do your listening loops, and then you take the processes and start solutioning and coming up with mitigations and implementing programs. But the fact that the ability to touch someone from the moment you meet them and you give them feedback on their interview or their resume, and they see that you're invested in them and you connect them with other people, because it's really hard to go into an organization and you only know one person, your recruiter, and then you have a myriad of resources and contacts and network. And then that goes beyond their first day. You're invested in their success, that you're connecting them as an employee to affinity groups, to mentors, to industry specialists. You guide them through how to do their best to prepare for the performance process. And then I have people that now are bordering line. I have some managing directors on my first tenure at Accenture, but on my second tenure, some of them are about to reach managing director. And that is really exciting to see. So I wanted to get back to that because I think we all need to remind ourselves of how HR adds value and the times that we do help people and make a difference, because that's really what we find satisfying at the end of the day. But I think I speak for many and most in HR with these sentiments.